with us is a very special guest. We have Rituraj Sinha with us today. He's Group Managing Director for the SIS Group. He's also Chair of the FICCI Private Security Committee. Rituraj, welcome to NewsX. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Uday. Good to be here.
My first question is, on the last few months, really, it's been an absolutely unprecedented time, of course, with the coronavirus pandemic, Rituraj, and the lockdown's impact. If we talk about your business, how much was the impact of the lockdown, and how did you mitigate, some of the turmoil that you've been through over the last 3-4 months?
Well, on the 24th of March, Government of India declared private security and cash logistics as essential services, along with the likes of banks and healthcare establishments and e-commerce, etc. So we've largely continued to operate through the first quarter, which is the April, May, June period. Resultantly, obviously in terms of revenue impact, we can say that we are potentially lesser impacted in Q1 compared to various other sectors that were actually in complete shutdown mode. But more interestingly, it once again reconfirms the demand resilience for services like ours, which is essentially supporting businesses in good times, but also needed by businesses in crises like the one we've seen now. So it sort of underlines the demand resilience and also in some ways the supply side capability and the execution capacity of services like ours. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we talk, of course, about an industry perspective, since you are also the chair of the FICCI Committee on Private Security, if overall security sector in India, overall facilities management services sector, what kind of impact did the lockdown and the pandemic have?
Well, Uday, it would be fair to describe this as, the COVID pandemic sort of brought to fore the critical importance of these services to a business establishment. For example, the private security staff became the first line of defense outside of every office, taking the thermal checks and doing the Arogya Setu compliance checks, etc., mask compliance for all businesses, irrespective of what kind of establishment you run. Similarly, if you look at facility management, it has pivoted to smart surface disinfection, fumigation, and other such services. COVID has completely brought to fore the importance of hygiene as a business continuity imperative. You cannot run an establishment for your customers or your employees without addressing the health and safety issues. And towards that, facility management is absolutely an essential component.
Okay. Now, if we talk, of course, about mitigating measures, the government has also announced a series of steps. The central government, of course, came up with that humongous financial stimulus package. The RBI also announced a series of measures. How much did those help the economy in your view, and what more still needs to be done from the government's point of view and the RBI's point of view?
Well, I think, honestly, I believe that the government so far in the last 3 odd months has come up with largely monetary measures, which are welcome. And on the fiscal side also, any measures taken are more on the supply side. They're talking about long-term reforms and long-term corrections, which is all very good, welcome, and also very important. But, let me give you context. SIS operates, in Australia. We are the largest security provider in Australia. We are the 5th largest security provider in New Zealand. We are the 3rd largest security services provider in Singapore. In all these 3 jurisdictions, services like ours or businesses like ours, which are essential in nature, plus they are very large job creators. In all these 3 countries, we have received some or the other form of job security or payroll incentive scheme or job protection incentive frameworks, things that have enabled businesses in these jurisdictions to continue to keep employees and pay them in full. Whereas in India, while we've seen a lot of long-term and mid-term solutions, there isn't much that's been done on the immediate demand stimulation. And my particular view on this is that essentially, when you put money in the hands of people, you stimulate demand. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And you want to put money in the hands of people. The best way to do it is to target 13 crore Indian households which are actually employed, not farm workers, but employed in the private sector largely.
Yeah.
Right? If you protect these jobs, if you enhance their pay in hand, if you stimulate that, it translates into demand directly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the government is thinking about it, but one would hope that at some point in time, we see more concrete action towards supporting job creating entities and sectors like security, like tourism, like various other sectors of that kind.
Okay. Okay. Now, before we move, of course, to the roadmap ahead, because we have to look forward, of course, just a quick question to you. What kind of advice would you offer, to entrepreneurs right now? Some who may be looking very pessimistic. What would you say to them at this current point of time, very quickly?
Well, these are a little bit gloomy times, and if you look at the statistics around COVID, it's quite clear that India is still in the thick of it, and probably there's more pain ahead of us than behind us. So we continue to be in a period of extreme uncertainty for the next 3 to 6 months at least. But having said that, I'm a believer that whether it was the 1990s slowdown or it was the global financial crisis, or if you look at even disruptions like demonetization, India has always had a V-shaped recovery. In the 90s, also in the GFC, Indian economy bounces back, and that's basically the underlying fact is the domestic consumption that drives Indian economy, and the second thing is the entrepreneurship. The fact that people are resilient, they are fighters, they are looking to make the best of whatever circumstances prevail. So I think that aspirational India is potentially what is going to hold the economy together. And, one hopes that we, if not a V-shape, at least we get a U-shape recovery out of this crisis.
That leads me to my next question. Are you hopeful that bouncing back could happen very soon? What's the outlook ahead looking like for the overall economy for the rest of the financial year and for your, the sectors that you operate in particularly as well?
Well, the thing is that services that we render at SIS are essentially proxy for the Indian economy, because we work for all our customers are auto, cement, steel factories, IT and hotels and hospitals. All of them are our customers, right? So in one sense, we are a proxy for what's happening in the Indian economy. What I see amongst my customer base is a great spirit to streamline supply chains. Mm-hmm. They're also streamlining supply chains. They're all sort of getting back into it after the unlock was announced. Demand recovery will take time. I don't think demand recovery is going to be as instantaneous. We all understand that. But honestly, I still believe that there is substantial hope that the Indian services sector particularly will show a faster uptake, hopefully, than the Indian manufacturing. So overall, I still maintain that, even as we are reading about, degrowth forecasts of -5% and -7%, I'm still hoping against all these indicators that Indian economy is not that deeply impacted.
Okay. Final question then to you on, the Prime Minister's speech, of course, and dream of Atmanirbhar Bharat. What needs to be done, Rituraj, in your view, to achieve that dream on ground, to ensure its on-ground implementation? And also, in every adversity, there are opportunities as well. And there are opportunities for Indian services sector, Indian manufacturing sector. What needs to be done so that India capitalizes on these opportunities in this adversity, in this post-COVID world?
Well, I think, I completely believe the idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat. I think it's a great thought. But I think we need, as an entrepreneur, I believe that we need a little bit more structure around it. For example, I think when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think what India needs to do is to pick winner segments and invest in that. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, Indian IT, is a segment that contributes more than 5% to our overall GDP, right? There are sectors like these which have the potential on the services sector side to take India to the world.
Yeah.
Indian government needs to pick up such sectors on the services side and manufacturing side and invest in them. You cannot sort of fix the entire puzzle at one go. You need to pick up pieces and prioritize.
Okay.
And I'm sure the government is doing that. So my only input on Atmanirbhar Bharat is it's a great idea, but we need a little bit more structure. We need a little bit more prioritization.
Okay.
India needs to first become a service provider for the world.
Yes.
A manufacturer for the world economy.
Yeah.
And then bring those benefits of scale and better pricing down to the Indian consumer.
Point
so I think we need to pick the right segments. That's
all
the
right.
key.
So prioritize is the key to, of course, successful Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you so much, Rituraj Sinha, for joining us today, and all the very best to you and your group at this time.
Thank you very much, Uday. Thanks for having me.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.